This is the Uprising Revival channel. Welcome to today's show. There's a few topics I want to talk about because there's multiple things going on at once. I think it's very prevalent and very in our faces, and it's very important that we talk about Matthew chapter 24, verses 6 through 13, because there's going to be many rumors of wars, right? And that's all that we're hearing. And we're also going to see, and I'm going to talk about Joe Biden, who is deciding to go over to Bagelville on his own, by himself, without any other world leaders, of course. And of course, I don't mean by himself. I mean, he'll have his protection there, but potential for false flags are kind of lining up all around us, right? And it doesn't need to be something like a fake offing of any of these people. They could easily just do something where they align themselves specifically with one side. And eventually you'll see all sides line up with Bagelville. Right now, you see the liberal media siding with the Palestinians. This is done by design, because the more that they, like I talked about in my earlier video, the more they victimize them, the more that these people and these sides and the media are going to turn away. This is hurting of the right. That's what we're seeing, because all of the conservatives are 100% behind Bagelville, right? They don't want to make this overly obvious that they're the ones who control the media. They're the ones responsible for everything that's going on in the world right now. So the liberal media, of course, is playing the side of humanitarian, et cetera, et cetera. And as we hear more false flags, as we hear more disturbing acts, you will see everybody go along with the bagels, and then they'll come out and they'll tell us, hey, this is what has to be done, because they will be wiping out Lady Gaza. That is going to happen. And it's going to also include the Dome of the Rock being destroyed. This is biblical. Now, Matthew chapter 24, verse 6 through 13. I'm going to read this first, but keep in mind these other stories surrounding it, right? We have a lot of false flags going on where we're hearing of people who are now targeting, almost like 20 years ago, anybody who's wearing a towel on their head is being attacked. They're getting stabbed. There's stories in all local media outlets if you look into them. I'll put videos up on the website where you can see this in more detail. There's all sorts of division on college campuses. There's all sorts of false flags going on around the country with people siding with one side versus the other side instead of saying, hey, you know what? Why be divided on this? How about we just look at the governments and the Mossad and the intel agencies and go after them? They can't ever have that, of course. So everybody's falling into place with taking sides, choosing sides. And again, it continues to divide people, because that's what it's all about. Divide them from whatever way you possibly can. And this is just another means to the machine for them. Another thing that they could check off the box to divide people over. So while those stories are circulating, you're also hearing stories still about Putin responding to Biden. Russia can't be put down and the U.S. should learn respect. There's all these stories out there still floating around Russia. Don't forget the inclusion of Russia, Iran, and China all working together as a allied power, so to speak, against America. Again, the story I did yesterday covering the borders, don't forget that as well. How all of these people are coming across. Well, now you could think and visually believe a story where they tell us that the boogeyman Al-Qaeda came across the border and is now residing in America. Thus, false flags are going to begin to occur here, when really it's our own intel agencies who are doing it. So all of this stuff is getting pushed together. Now, what's interesting about the Bible verse in regards to rumors of war is that really, there's a lot of ways you could interpret that, right? Because these really are just rumors of war, because this isn't really war between any people. This is war between our governments and the people, right? This isn't really civilians versus civilians. They want you to believe that it's Palestinians versus Bagelites. They want you to believe these things. And yes, those people do have friction with one another. There's no doubt about it. But the actual war that's going on is really just assaulting and obliterating cities, obliterating people's lives with the militaries who are targeting the civilians. Okay, that's how this all works. So in the Bible, it tells us, Matthew 24, verse 6 through 13, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And that's what we're all called upon to do. But we're hearing a lot of these things at once, right? Think of the earthquakes, okay? For nation shall rise against nation. We're seeing that. Kingdom against kingdom. We're seeing that. And there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes. Okay? A lot of people hear that stuff and they say, well, there'll be earthquakes. And they all think, well, God is going to send down the earthquakes. Well, maybe so, but we're seeing a lot of manipulation with the weather. We're seeing famines created via what they're doing with the weather as well. And people get mad when I say that because, like, well, you're trying to say that they're playing God. They're not God. They can't do that stuff. But it doesn't specifically say here in this verse that God is sending down famines, that God is sending down earthquakes. It just says that there will be famines, earthquakes, pestilences, etc., etc. There will be a rise, nation against nation will rise. Okay, that's what we're seeing going on around us. And remember this specific verse. Okay, then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. So people hear that and they're like, well, I don't know about that. Okay, this is what we're headed towards. The Bible is referencing us. And shall kill you, Christians, followers of Christ, however you want to label it, disciples of Christ, lovers of Christ. So what we're seeing now is a herding. Okay, there's going to be new labels put in place for Christians, extreme Christians. Christians who don't support Bagelville will be deemed some type of different type of Christian, right? People probably label us false prophets or whatever, even though none of us claim to be prophets. The people who claim to be prophets, obviously, you should be pretty skeptical of at this point. But people are going to obviously start targeting us. And all the stuff going on in the world is leading towards that. Just Christians don't see it yet. Now, let's turn our attention to Biden, who is visiting Bagelville on Wednesday. Biden will speak with bagel leaders on how to prevent unnecessary civilian casualties in the Strip, the Lady Gaza Strip, as it continues to be targeted by airstrikes. Biden will visit, and keep in mind how hard it was to get this guy to go and visit, which is by design. Everything's by design. Okay, they know they're the masters of psychological operations, right? They're the ones who are doing this on us. So they know what the feedback's going to be when he didn't go to Palestine, Ohio, when he didn't go to Maui, or he waited a while to go there. Okay, people look at this, they're like, why is he going there? He doesn't even visit us, right? So these things are done psychologically by design. Now he's going over there to try to prevent civilian casualties. So there's a lot of narratives that tie into this. Okay, could a potential false flag occur with him? Well, very much so, but highly unlikely, but it could possibly happen. Biden is visiting Wednesday as he tries to send a message of his administration's commitment to the bagel state amid its war with the hummus food. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken confirmed the visit Monday night, saying the visit will happen at a critical moment for Bagelville, for the region, and for the world. The president will reaffirm the U.S. solidarity with Bagelville and our ironclad commitment to its security. Now, the reason I say potentially something could happen, of course, everybody, whenever I say something like that and something doesn't happen, like, you said it was gonna. No, I didn't. I say potentially you have to watch these stories out there, because I'll tell you one thing that will be happening before 2030. One of these people, whether it's Biden or Trump, something huge is going to happen with them, because they need an event that's bigger than anything we've ever seen since JFK, of course, to herd people the way they want to herd them. So they know the game, and the game is being played. We just don't know which one it's going to be and how it's going to play out. Because remember, Trump has a major role to play as far as deceiving people. So it could come after the fact, after the 2024 fake elections. But Biden as well is somebody who could be a potential sitting duck to mourn sympathy, to make America falsely unite. Because that would make conservatives, if something happened to Biden, conservatives who can't stand him probably would say, well, we're all Americans, right? So we could have people back united on a front and then turn our attention to supporting the bagels, okay? Because remember, America plays a huge part. The downfall of America, right? The crumbling of America, the crumbling of the West ties into all of this stuff that's going to occur. So we have to think psychologically, how can they crumble this country? Now, we can look around us and say, well, it's already crumbled, but I mean literally crumble it. I mean the point where it's a third world country, right? And we know that they can't, and they won't necessarily use nukes in a sense, and it's too big of a country. Okay, so there's a lot of things that have to be done, and herding is really the key to doing that. But America has to crumble, because the New World Order cannot function without America's participation, and that means that America has to turn from a capitalist country, and people will not willingly do that. Something catastrophic has to occur. So Biden will be over there, and it says the president will hear from Bagelville how it will conduct its operations in a way that minimizes civilian casualties, as I'll show, and enables humanitarian assistance, and it allows civilians in Lady Gaza in a way that does not benefit the Hamas people. Bagelville has urged 1 million residents in Lady Gaza to evacuate. Again, we've heard that over and over, even though we know they're pretty much trapped in there. The visit coincides with Biden's pledge to support Bagelville. The administration has already promised military support. So again, remember, there's two sides of this with the left and the right. The right is fully on board, and you've seen these guys reveal themselves. Everybody's known about DeSantis being a supporter of the Bagels. Everyone knows about Trump's role in it. This is a massive deception for Christians. They're playing Christians who are not interpreting the state of Bagelville versus what Bagelville is spiritually. And again, I've said in recent videos, people are accusing me of replacement theology. They're throwing all types of things out there, trying to, it's pretty amazing how deep they go into this, how deep they go into their Bible study, but they can't literally see what Bagelville is. And they just refuse to see it because the mind control has been put in so thick, even for those who think they're awake. So now we're going to see this from the other side, because remember, the other side's being portrayed because everybody has to be divided, right? The left and the right fully divided on every single topic that there is. And if there is going to be something that could unite people, it could potentially be something that occurs to Biden, but it could potentially be fully the whole country supporting the Bagels, which is what they want. Because remember, when I read you those things from Pike, from Karl Marx, those letters, etc., there's many documents out there, secret documents. Pawns in the Game is one of the videos I've uploaded many times, which is a book that's talked about the plans of the globalists and the hurting. And remember, this specific group of people will not be allowed to be questioned. So more false flags are going to hit them over there. More and more and more that are going to garner more and more sympathy so that people eventually fully turn and support them. They don't want to make it overly obvious in the beginning by having everybody against the Palestinians. So they're doing it this way. You will see more stories. Trust me. This is not going to be a quick thing. This is going to lag. Do you think the crane lagged? Well, this will lag more. And we have to keep our eyes on all the narratives that they're pushing out there. And again, the other narratives, you hear the whispers of war with everything in Russia. You hear the whispers of what else? All of these events happening now within the states. Every state is having an event in the United States of America. Every state, if you're not aware, there's something going on where, they're calling for purges, day of purges. They're calling for all of these things that have been programmed into people subconsciously through the purge type movies out there, right? And they're having Day of Rage. Remember all those things I've covered? We have these world leaders talking about days of rage. Okay, these world leaders, the leaders of the Hamas group, etc. Where is all that stuff from? How often have I covered that, right? Where they've used these purge movie types of programming to instill it in people. So then when they hear these leaders calling on days of rage, these people follow suit instead of going, what is that? I don't know what that is. We've seen all this barbaric behavior that they've endorsed. And now, of course, they're egging people on to do more things. So we're seeing a lot of events occur where people with the towels on their heads are being targeted. And that's even how they're narrating it. They're saying, oh, this guy saw someone with a turban on and they went after him and they stabbed him and did this and that, right? So this is just another dividing mechanism. We can't take our attention off all of the things happening at once, right? Because there's division coming from every single angle. That's part of psychological operations, exhausting you to the point of submission. And that's what they're doing right here. There are 8 trillion stories, 8 trillion wars, 8 trillion rumors of wars. Not literally, but you get my point. Going on. We're hearing of something every day. It's Crane. It's Gaza. It's Bagelville. It's here in America. It's black or white. It's straight or you know what. Over and over and over. What does this do psychologically to any normal person? It wears them down. And it beats them to the point where they don't want to hear it anymore, that they'll just go along with whatever they're trying to do because it's wearing them down to death. This is how psychological operations work. You have to pull yourself out and realize what they're doing. If everybody out there realizes who's doing this, this can be stopped. I know people are like, well, what can we do about it? But the problem is that they're making sure that people aren't waking up to it, which is the reason that they silence a lot of us. They don't care. Somebody said something like, aren't you afraid they're going to come and kill you? They're not going to come and kill me, I don't think, because I'm not very important. But what they want to make sure is that new people don't hear this stuff. So it's more important for them to take you out of the YouTube partner program and those types of things so that some kid doesn't stumble upon the video and start piecing this stuff together, start looking at all the content that I've made on the website and some that's still here on YouTube and start saying, hey, you know what? I'm starting to understand how psychological operations work. I'm starting to consciously think and pull myself out of her. And I'm starting to look at all these things and these narratives that are going on. And then they realize all of these things that have been written for hundreds of years about the blueprints for what they're doing right now. It's all been written. It's all been scripted out. And now they're acting on it. So the story of Biden going over there is one to keep an eye on, right? It's a narrative of what's coming next. Is something potentially happening? And again, I'm not saying anything will. I really doubt that it will. But we have to watch the herding mechanisms in place, because this machine is just manipulating people. And now who's getting manipulated the most? Christians are getting manipulated the most. People out there are like, wait, what? How? They're the ones who are getting unhinged because they feel this is an attack on them. They say this is an attack on their brothers and sisters. Okay? They say all these things and they don't realize what's really occurring. So they want, and they're getting mad and unhinged about Democrats not supporting. It's pretty amazing when Christians should realize who's actually behind all this. And I just put a video up on the website, Uprising Revival. So if you are a member, definitely watch it. And again, you definitely need to join. I put it together. I went through all of the stuff that I've uploaded in the past about the books that they teach. And it's pretty much a walkthrough of all of the stuff in the book. And it specifically outlines how they feel about Christians. Okay? And people think that these people on the surface, oh, we're still brothers and sisters, and oh, they're really nice people, or but they're the chosen ones, so we can't question them. Their books literally talk about the annihilation and the wiping out of Christians. And that is exactly what's going to come to the forefront through mind control and manipulation. They're going to convince people. They're already doing it. Okay, so that video is available on the website. If people knew what they were talking about, what they were saying about our King, if they really loved and cared about Jesus Christ, then they would turn, and they wouldn't need to turn. They'd realize these people are indeed the synagogue of Satan, as the Bible tells us and warns us. I mean, it flat out says they're those who claim they are and are not. They're of the synagogue of Satan. I don't know how people are not interpreting that and understanding, especially if you look at the state of Bagelville versus spiritual Bagelville. The state, established in 1948, like I've said over and over again. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe it, even though you could actually go look at some of the rabies out there, take off the ES, and they're talking openly about being against the state of Bagelville because they know what it is. It's a war machine. It's a deception. And a lot of those people with the bagel, that doesn't mean everybody's on board. Of course not. A lot of them don't support what's going on and don't support the state because they know what it is. It's a manipulation tactic. But sadly, there's more Christians who are deceived to this than actual bagels that are deceived to it. Now, there's many, many bagels who don't have a clue, and there's many, many bagels who fully support it. But Christians 100% don't have a clue. This has become one of the toughest topics to talk about, and you'll never hear the church talk about it, ever, under any circumstance. So that video is available on the website. Keep an eye on this story. I'll be covering it. And if anybody wants to see, I did put up one of the website exclusive videos over on the End of the Beginning channel. For anybody out there that wants to see it, just showing you some of the ridiculous scripts going on over there. I wanted to put it up because I haven't uploaded on that channel in a bit. I had 2 strikes, so I had to wait for a little bit. But I wanted people over there to know that I'm over here, but I'll also let you know that over there, that video probably will get a strike. But it's a video that you would see on the website that I'm letting people see so that they could get an idea of some of the stuff going on over on the website and over in Bagelville. So thanks, everybody, for being here. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Again, going forward, a lot of the videos are just going to be, I'm going to mix some videos in, like the Whoopi Goldberg, where, because I'm getting more of a feel for the algorithm now, because I've reached out to YouTube pretending that I'm a fudge packing, and there's kind of like a process when you upload, you have to tell them what it's about. I've tried to avoid using metadata and putting tags and stuff in, and they're auto flagging a lot of the stuff because of the words on the screen. So I'm trying not to use anything on the screen except the logo. That way it's not going to get picked up. And also, how I categorize my videos is somewhat of a factor. So anyway, there's a lot of things I'm trying to pick up on so we don't have to constantly do this. But if you're not subbed to United Uprising, do that now. Because again, any one of these videos could get a strike if I accidentally say something or accidentally trigger off the algorithm. So hopefully see more people over on the other channels. I thank everybody for being here. Let me know what you think about some of the stuff going on with the narrative. I'm curious. If you're not on the website, let me know here. I'll look through the comments. And again, pretty incredible time to be alive. But don't forget that what Matthew chapter 24, verse 6 through 13 say, specifically 13. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And that's starting to look like we are the ones enduring at the end. Unless, of course, we step up and stop it from happening. I thank you for being here. Hope you're all well. God bless you as always, and your families.